people know you. There are videos of you with thousands and thousands of people, eyeballs on your videos.
I didn't know that. That's
paying attention to what Dr. Anderson has to say. Theorizing, making very strong suggestions, advocating, black empowerment. What didn't come across so much in the public domain was the businesses that you operate. One, tell us about what you're doing in the world of business and how what you're doing in the world of business gives backbone to the things you're saying. So how are you practicing what you preach?
Well, now, because I'm spending most of my time being a speaker, going around the country, and most of the resources from those engagements go to the Nomics Corporation, which I don't own now. My wife owns that. That's her company, the Nomics Corporation. But in the course of my life, I've been to the highest levels of government. At every level, I run campaigns for presidents, for governors, for mayors, for congressional people. I didn't run in the campaigns. I was a campaign manager for them. Okay, I've been in all levels of education, from everything from special education to elementary schools to university, community college. I've been at the highest level of everything you can think about.
And I heard you talking earlier about the fish business.
Yeah. Well, let me get to that one. Now, in terms of business, first thing I built a radio station, WWD in Tallahassee, Florida. I built that. That was one of the first FM station in the country for black folk. I think it was about the second or third with James Brown and myself. I also had owned a radio station in the top of the Superdome in New Orleans. I owned radio stations.
And that was what period of time?
That was back in the 70s.
Okay. And in the 70s, you also you were in the administration of the peanut farmer from Georgia.
Yeah, from Georgia.
What role was that?
Well, I was a campaign manager in Florida for Jimmy Carter.
Okay.
Jimmy Carter had been in 2 primaries early in the campaign season, and he had lost in both of those campaigns. And then he was on the wing. And at that point in time, people like Andy Young, Julian Bond, and some other people in high levels of his campaign in Atlanta, they called me and said, Dr. Anderson, the next campaign, the primary will be in Florida. And I organized the blacks of the state of Florida under what's called the State Action Council to empower them. And we were very strong then because we were united, played as a team. We voted as a block on issues. We moved as a block. We lobbied as a block.
Okay. And so let me, because I did want to get in that you were a part of that.
Well, he pointed me to be the first assistant secretary in commerce as a black secretary. I was the only black that got appointed to be a chairman for economic development for Eastern and Southern governors. Most people don't know that. No black has ever been a chairman for governors. They appointed me over that.
Okay.
So plus I had trade missions in third world countries, including Africa, Venezuela, Colombia, and all around the world.
And back to your business. We started to talk about the fish business. Tell us about that. How did you get into that?
Well, we're heading up trade missions in different countries. The classical seafood industry came to me and said, Dr. Anderson, we're getting killed off. At that time, they set up what's called a Kobe plan, where we went over into China, Kobe, Japan, and we're trying to figure out how to help some of these third world nations. And we encourage aquaculture, start raising fish in those countries. But those people within a short period of time got very good at it because they didn't have a labor cost and a food cost because they weren't feeding their fish the appropriate diets that they needed to be clean and harmonious. And so it was killing off our classical seafood industry. So I went and set up several programs to try to help our local seafood industry. I set up what's called the John Island crabbing facility for blacks in John Islands. I set up the Hilton Head Seafood Co-op. I started what's called a Midwest Seafood Distribution Program. And I was taking surplus, I had the surplus fishing program. I was taking fish to third world countries, particularly Africa, to give it to them. But then I said in my basic principles of Nomics, I said black folks should dominate in business wherever they dominate in population or in spending patterns. And since black folk eat 3 to 4 times more fish than anyone else in the country at that time, and we spend $9 for every $1 white spend, then blacks should be dominating in the seafood production. In other words, from the boat to the throat, they should be controlling the seafood industry. So I decided to open up an aquaculture facility here in the Washington, D.C. area. And we set it up, and we operated for about 6 or 7 years. But the problem was most of my clients were Asians. Almost 99 and 99% were Asian. No blacks ever got into the vertical integration. I wanted blacks to not only learn how to produce, but to retail, wholesale, all the way up.
So your business, you're sort of manufacturer almost, if you will.
I'm a manufacturer.
Yeah,
of fish.
and what you were looking to do was to be able to have other blacks to be introduced in that ladder, as you say, wholesalers, retailers, whatever they might have been.
Right.
And that never happened.
Never happened.
And why?
I'm not sure. I guess some because they didn't have the money. I'm not sure why, but we just waited for them, and I became totally dependent on Asians to buy all of our product. And so Asians began to start taking over. Then they started dominating the seafood industry. Right now they dominate it because they play as a team.
I was going to say, which seems as if that would be a classic economic example that even if you are the manufacturer, if those that are practicing group economics can ultimately, if they are continually and majority the ones that purchase from you, they ultimately can sort of take your place, can take your position, which speaks to ultimately the lack of cohesiveness and working together within the black community.
Right.